Hello everyone, Dr. Mims here. I promised I would help you be able to complete questions 5 and 6 in the Tejas Publishing Company case in our textbook on page 66. So this video helps us complete 2 different bottom-up markup chains. Now I'm going to do this in a step-down method so that you can see how each formula we use builds on the previous formula we used. All right, so let's start first with where we were when we started this case. Okay, we started from a bottom up. We started at having $7 as our information, and we needed to know at the retail level what was the retailer's cost. What was the retailer's cost? Okay, so we needed to use Formula 1, which we did in class, and Formula 1 says we take that selling price and we multiply it times 1 minus the percent markup on selling price, which we knew was 30%. But here's the formula so that we can use the actual data in the spreadsheet where we have the numbers. So we know that the cost for the retailer turns out to be $4.90, but that also means it's the selling price for the local wholesaler. Let's double click this cell so we can see the address. Notice I've used dollar signs so that I have fixed the cell location or address of the cell's location. So D19, I betcha, is going to be that sales price that we had, which is, that's right, $7. And then, of course, E19 is where we had our percent, 30% markup sales price on that selling price markup, so that we can determine that the retailer's cost was $4.90. Okay, now we need to use this in our next box to step up to the local wholesalers level. Okay, we need to use F4 next so that we can determine, taking this local wholesaler's sales price, because we have that, now we can determine the local wholesaler's cost. Okay, so we just simply need to begin with this output from our first formula and divide by 1 plus the markup and cost for the local wholesaler. Okay, so something's missing here. Let me make sure all of the answers are here. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so this is the number we had in the previous formula as our outcome, and then we're simply dividing by 1 plus that markup on cost using Formula 4. Why? Because Formula 4 gives us the cost for the local wholesaler. Let's see what E13 is. E13 is the percent markup on cost by the local wholesaler. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means we have the selling price for the regional wholesaler. Great. So we have the selling price for the regional wholesaler. In our chain of events, we need to now use Formula 1 again. Why? Because now we have the selling price for the regional wholesaler, and we need to determine the cost for the regional wholesaler, which we can do that by simply taking this outcome from Formula 4 and multiplying it times, this is what F1 is, remember, 1 minus the percent markup on sales price. And if we were to go up to, let's get us the address here. We need to go capture the address for that. So it should be this outcome times 1 minus the percent markup on sales price by our regional wholesaler. Okay, parentheses close. I want to be sure and put some dollar signs in that address. Remember, Excel spreadsheet's going to jump up to where you are using those cells. And we can't have a number sign there. That won't work. Let's hit yes. $4.35. That's looking pretty good. Remember, we're going bottom up. Retailer, local wholesaler, regional wholesaler, and guess what? If the cost of the regional wholesaler is $4.35, that means what? That means that we also have the sales price of TBCI, the manufacturer. So this is both the cost of the regional and the sales price of TBCI. Okay. Now, we need to do this as one chain, one equation. And that's what we're going to be graded on, that we can do these as one equation. So let's take a look at what that's going to look like. Okay? Look at that equation. But it's really simple. If you take a moment, you can see that this portion is F1. Once we got the answer there, we then used it to complete F4, which we then, the outcome of that equation, we used to apply F1 again, which in all one equation gets us from bottom up from $7 to $4.35, which is our most important equation to learn. We've got to have this information right here. This is the information and equation expected in cases. So you won't be able to do this step by step like I'm doing. You'll have to show one equation. So you're going to want to pause this, absorb this. Okay? Forgive me if I didn't mention to you to also go ahead and set up your spreadsheet. But we need to do a second method because our question says complete two different bottom-up market chains. All right, well, we can do that because now we can actually start with F4 this time. We're going to use the same information. We're going to go up and get our sales price, but this time we're dividing it by the percent markup cost on retailer. So we'll have $7, which is what this address is going to be, and then we're going to divide it by 1 plus that percentage. So let's go see what the markup on cost is for the retailer. 42.86%. That's great. That's great. Okay, so we'll turn out to have the $4.90, which is the cost for the retailer, the selling price for the wholesaler, and now we can simply use that outcome to obtain the cost of the local wholesaler, which is also the selling price of the regional wholesaler. Okay, let's take a look at this equation. I took the outcome here, and now I've simply applied the remainder of F1, which is multiplying that selling price of the local wholesaler times its 1 minus its percent markup on sales price. Okay, so let's look at what that number is. That percent markup on sales price is E15. I'm going to go slide up here and look at it. E15, E15 is that 816. Okay, very good. So we're in great shape. Great shape. When we have this information, we now have what? The cost for the local wholesaler, but we also have the selling price of the regional. So now all we need to simply do is calculate the cost for the regional, and we will have the selling price for the manufacturer. So let's take a look at what we're doing here. So we've gone from formula F4 to formula F1 to should be formula F4. Yeah. Formula F4. Oh, I see. I jumped down one. We've gone from formula, oh yeah, that's the same. Formula F4 to formula F1 to formula F4. Okay, so let me correct some typos here. Sorry about that. We have the local wholesalers selling price, and we need to determine the local wholesalers, the regional wholesalers cost. So we have the outcome from this information here, and then we're actually going to use F4 again, which is multiplying times 1 times the markup on cost by the regional wholesaler. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Double click this. I've got the answer here at the local level, and now I'm going one up the chain again to determine the regional wholesaler's cost, which will also wind up being the manufacturer's selling price. So I'm going to double click that. You can see how these are building on each other, and if we go up to E9, we should have a percent markup on cost. Percent markup on cost by the regional wholesaler. Very good. That's working out perfectly. F4, F1, F4. But again, the most important thing for you to learn is how to write these sequences in one equation in Excel. So let's see what that looks like. Here's the equation using all of these steps. Here you can see F4. Then you can see the outcome of F4, and we applied F1. And then finally, we applied the answer to that to F4 again, so that we can get to the regional wholesaler's cost, which we also know is the sales price of the manufacturer. But this is the expected skill for your cases this semester. I want to make a little learning note on this top-down chain. Notice when you do a top-down chain, you are only and ever using F2 and F3 in sequences. This is Dr. Mims. I hope this is helpful in explaining how this markup chain of events work on a step-by-step basis, and also how to write the entire equation for all channel members in one shot. Thank you.